So, so I should start the class. Okay, in continuation of the yesterday's class, uh, I'm going to talk to you about different modes of promotion. So yesterday I talked to you about personal selling. Now I would be talking to you about sales promotion. As we know, sales promotion is a direct inducement which offers an extra value and incentive for the product to the sales force, distributors, or the ultimate consumers. So what it means is, like, it provides some incentive for the consumer, for the sales force, and also for the distributors. So one buy one free, and you buy a product, so maybe they can give you some coupons, and with those coupons you may win a lucky dip, win a refrigerator or television set or a bike or gold coin. So all these are promotional strategies. So this is a sales promotion, and it stimulates, as the American Marketing Association has said it stimulates consumer purchasing and dealer effectiveness. So how it is done? It could be done through exhibitions, it could be done through displays, and and motivate people towards buying. So sales promotion uh, uh, actually is one of the most used strategies towards buying the products. So next, coming to publicity. Publicity refers to the generation of news about a person or a product or a service that appears in the broadcast or the electronic or the print media, any media to, for that matter. Many people confuse publicity with public relations, which is not so the case, because publicity is a subset of public relations. But when it comes to trust, right? Uh, People have more faith on publicity because publicity is based on the word of mouth. That's why we call it as word of mouth publicity, because it is something that passes among the people, whereas public relations, as we know, is something that is done by a company for the good of the company. So if you compare publicity with public relations, definitely though the strategy is very simple, short term and short. um, uh, Most often, in terms of having faith or belief, the consumers perceive the information that is acquired through publicity. They have more trust on publicity rather than on public relations, because as we all know, public relations is something that is the information that is being generated by the company. So you have numerous examples. You take Coke, or you take Maggie, or you take many companies which have um, um, uh, come back to business through good publicity measures. On the other hand, same the negative publicity, like in the case of companies like Satyam, where they fail to win back the trust of the shareholders or the publics. So there, the negative publicity, which is again word of mouth, did not work, and so Satyam could not be able to generate that trust, which otherwise companies like Maggie and Coke could do. So, so in terms of marketing, yeah, like when you have the new movie release, okay, so the movie stars, the producers, all of them, the team, the crew comes to the news channel or any entertainment channel and be part of it. It is nothing but publicity measure, but still there is lot of positive connect with that promotion. So that way, publicity also adds towards promoting any product or a service or idea. Now, coming to the public relations, what do we understand by public relations? Public relations is nothing but the management function which evaluates public attitudes, identifies the policies and procedures of an organization with the public interest, and executes a program of action in to earn. The main purpose is to earn public understanding and acceptance. Okay. Public relations has always been defined as the management of a two-way communication. It is a two-way communication, uh, uh, and there is continuous evaluation of public attitudes. There is identification of policies and execution of communication programs for the benefit of the company in a way that it gains public acceptance. So there is a measured approach, there is a calculated approach towards towards making the public, be it the internal public or the external public, accepting the policies of the company in a good way. So that's how the public relations function. So to put it in short, so these are more or less, like broadly we can say, the um, five methods, five processes through which promotion happens in marketing. So, advertising being a part of mass communication method is the most acceptable method. It is considered to be the best method, and therefore um, it is widely accepted across different products, ideas, and goods. Okay, so that's how we understand with the concept of promotion. So when we're talking about marketing, marketing is a combination of four P's to summarize. So, and what are the four P's? Product, price, place, and promotion. And each P has a very important role. Obviously there are very many new additions that have been added, like in some cases there are 7 P's, like in some cases there are 5 P's, where the extra P is the publics. Though there are all these additions of P's that are happening, but the most acceptable ha- uh, the most acceptable mode of promotion uh, uh, is advertising. Just wondering if you are able to hear me, because here I'm getting a status that that my audio is not audible. So just wondering if you can hear me, so that I can continue with the class. Can someone help me if you are able to hear me or not? Uh, okay, then I can continue because I don't see a response. So I think I will continue with the class. Yeah. So now let's get into the next topic, as to what are the different types of advertising. Now, when we come to types of advertising, there are not all, as we discussed in yesterday's class. Uh, Advertising cannot be bracketed under one umbrella. You have different types of advertisements based on the regions, based on, so classification is done based on the region, based on their target groups, based on the display, and obviously you have something like government advertising, public service advertisements as well. So when we are talking about let's say region, now let's go um, uh, with advertisements based on the region. So when we're talking about region, so especially before 1991, when there was no globalization, or when there was no liberalization, mostly the consumer products that were available are the consumer products that are available are mostly the local products, though you did have some foreign goods that were available. There are a lot of foreign exchange issues, lot of import export duties. So there were many issues if there was some kind of import to be done, or if there has to be done some kind of an export has to be done. there were many issues connected with rules, policies, and regulations. But after 91, with liberalization, but after 91, with liberalization, with globalization, there has been many changes that have come about, which have facilitated easy import and export of raw materials, products, parts, spare parts, for various kinds of products. Um, the need for globalization, the need for advertising uh, uh, at the global level has begun. So when you look at the products, so after 1991, we had many foreign goods because with the liberalization, many foreign goods were able to find a market in the Indian markets. So you had you take aerated drinks like soda, you talk about Coke, Pepsi, um, whatever, Fanta or Mirinda, these kinds of foreign drinks, or you talk about television sets, or you talk about cars. You name a category, you look into, like you talk about cameras, videos, you name a segment, you name a category, you name a section, all those products are now available in the Indian markets. So the liberalization, the, the regulation related to liberalization and globalization enabled these imports, and so there came a need for global advertising. So when you're talking about global advertising, if you had something like you, for example, a product like Cadbury's, or a product like Maggie, which we now think it's more to be Indian, are not Indian products at all. They are obviously international products. So Nestle is based in, I think, Sweden or Netherlands, or you find Coke, which is a US based company, or you find Pepsi to be a US based company. Many cars, for that matter, you have cars that are coming from Japan, cars coming from Germany like Benz and BMW. So you have many electronic items, be it Sony, or you have something like Philips coming from internationally. So when you have these products, obviously, if you have an advertisement that is based with the international, like, for example, you take something like a Coke, right? If you have the Coke ad made with the foreign actors, it will not have any connect with the Indian people. So you have something like adaptation that is happening with the advertising. So though it is a global ad with a an adaptation that suits to the Indian consumers. So if you watch Coke advertisement, each country will have a separate ad. It is not as though the same ad would be whatever, because basically Coke is from US, doesn't mean that whatever is being shown in the US, or whatever is being telecast in the US, it is the same ad is being repeated. Here you have Amir Khan endorsing Coke, you have like people like Shah Rukh Khan endorsing Pepsi. You have someone like Cadbury's being endorsed by Amitabh Bachchan. So you have various kinds of adaptations that are being done to these global advertisements. But for few products, something like a Rolex watch, it is an international product as well. It's basically from Switzerland. So if you talk about Switzerland, you have Roger Federer, who is like he's almost for a very long time has been the number one in tennis, has endorsed Rolex watches. endorsed for Rolex. So that is again done without any adaptation, because the kind of target consumers that they are aiming at is at a different level. Because you find the Rolex watch, because it is so very expensive, it is mostly meant for the elite. And so since the elite have that connect with a different kind of taste and different kind of hobbies, definitely they are familiar with Federer, and an advertisement with Rolex with Federer would not be something that is unacceptable. So that way, so some ads need on a process which we call as adaptation. On the other hand, you have some products which can be having the same global advertisement that is being put across. So based on the product that we are talking about, that's the reason why we are saying that advertisements, though uh, like though the product might be global, might be coming from a multinational company, but based on the target consumers. That's why when we said classification, we also talked about target consumers as the basis for classification of advertising. So based on to whom the product is reaching. For example, we talked about Eureka Forbes yesterday, the vacuum cleaner. Though it is done, it's again, Eureka Forbes is an international product. So, but the method that it chose is not something that is at the international level, but it went in for adaptation. So, different communication methods, different promotion methods are generally used, though the product might be uh, of global existence. Okay, so generally for the international products, uh, uh, based on the need, either you have global advertising that is at the global level, or you have adaptation. Same with the national advertising. National advertising is something like products that are made within the country, something like BPL. Okay, the country's base is in India, like something like Wipro, something like Mahindra and Mahindra, something like Hindustan Lever. So you have these companies. So, and these companies may not be targeting a global consumers. They are targeting the consumers at the national level. That is right from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, or from Gujarat to say on the Arunachal. On the east coast, you have Arunachal. On the east, so you may be the target consumers may be the people, like something like Hero Cycles, Hero Mobile, Hero Bikes. Okay, so these are products that are exclusively reaching to the consumers at the national level. But when I'm saying this, again, the theory applies, whatever theory applies at the global level also applies at the national level. So some ads could be used universally at the national level, but some might require adaptation at the local level, at the regional level, so that it can reach the regional population uh, quite easily. For example, Navratan Tel. Navratan Tel is endorsed for a very long time by Shah Rukh Khan. But at the regional level, you have junior NTR, like for Telangana and Andhra, for the person who speaks Telugu, you find junior NTR endorsing Navratan Tel. Same with this Ramraj cotton Panchalu. So you find that basically these are traditionally worn by people in the southern states. So again, but you don't have one common figure for the entire South India region. Every region has one phase to get connected to the people at that particular place. So you have Venkatesh endorsing uh, at the at Telangana and Andhra, whereas you have uh, uh, for Karnataka, it is a different actor. For Kerala, it is a different person. For Tamil Nadu, it is a different person. Same with Kalyan Jewelers. So whereas at national level, it is endorsed by Amitabh Bachchan, at Telangana and Andhra level, it is endorsed by Nagarjuna. So same and same applies. Same theory applies. So at the national level, maybe you are having for some products one advertisement that could be uh, dubbed, or one advertisement that is translated. At the regional level, you have there is an adaptation that happens to suit the regional needs and to satisfy the connect of the regional consumers. So you have similar theory being applied the way it is applied at the global level. So you again now coming to the regional level. So when you're talking about regional advertisement, there are products exclusively for the regional market, something like a particular state. For example, you have this Nirma washing powder before becoming one of the most successful washing powder at the national level. It was sold in the vicinity of Ahmedabad. You have at Surat. So at these states, you find that Nirma washing powder was used, and so you find that it is being it was mostly advertised at the regional level, something like Ambika Darbar Agarbatti. So it was something that is mostly uh, advertised at the regional level, and later it went to a national level. Same like something like Triveni nut powder. Okay, so Crane was mostly at Tamil Nadu. Later, it passed on to Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, and then Kerala, and then Karnataka. So you have it being spreading its markets and target consumers at the regional level. So you find that uh, there is a possibility that at the regional level, uh, um, uh, at the regional markets, we find the kind of advertising that is done to appease the people is different. And now coming to the local advertising, when you're talking about local advertising, something very specific, like something specified to a particular village or mandal or something like municipality, something like that. Like mostly, like if you think to that matter, something like Matchbox. Okay, so those are done to the local people. So you find that local advertising is done at that place. So based on so these are all interconnected. You can't it's not as though you compartmentalize them, like you can't say that it is global advertising. So like target consumers, you delineate. No, target consumers are interconnected with the target consumers are interconnected, um, uh, are interconnected with the kind of product that you're talking about. Product consumers are interconnected uh, with the with uh, with the um, with the kind of regional distribution. So and everything is function based. So again, it is connected with the function. So that way, uh, we find that um, though uh, we are classifying them based on region, classifying them based on product, finally there is an overlap, and uh, um, uh, And we need to take into cognizance all these aspects when the advertising is made. But we are doing this classification for a better understanding as to how the advertisements are made. Okay, so now coming to the kind of functions that the advertisement does. So some advertisements could be informative in nature, some advertisements could be persuasive, some could be reminder, some could be social advertising. So as the name indicates, when you're talking about informative ads, what are informative ads? Giving information about something. So you have a print advertisement or a slide on television saying that, okay, like at this within the locality or within that particular region, you have a sale of certain products at a discounted price. Maybe that is that area specific, as I have said. No, so when this happens, uh, this is local advertising. At the same time, there is informative advertising that is also happening at the same time. So there is an overlap. There is an overlap. Okay, so you find that there is informative advertising at one place happening, but also there is local advertising also that is happening. But what is happening there? Through the local advertisement, there is information that is also being shared. But when we're talking about informative, all ads are informative. But the way the mode, for example, as we go about, there is something like persuasive advertising. So when you're talking about persuasive advertising, there is information in that, but what is being put across, there is a persuasion. See, you buy this, you get one thing extra, or you are something intertwined with the some kind of a sales promotion aspect. Like you are buying this, maybe in this lucky dip you may get a car, or you may get a necklace, gold necklace, or you may get a gold coin. So there is an element of persuasion along with information that is being put across. And again, it can be region specific, area specific, local specific, locality specific. So it is uh, through these ways. So now, as we are seeing it, there is definitely obvious overlap that we are seeing. Okay, so you find that there is an advertisement that is being put across, but at the same time, it is local, it is informative, it is persuasive. And some ads could be reminder advertising. What do you mean by reminder advertising? Um, Telling the consumers that this product is always there in the market, and therefore maybe it has come up with new features. Like, see, over a period of time, an advertisement becomes stale. Okay, if the advertisement becomes stale, it becomes a blind spot. People stop watching the advertisement, or take recognition, or take any thought about the existence of the product. So how do we make the consumer to get back to the product? And that's how you come up with an innovation. And through innovation, there is reminder that is being put across, that okay, this brand, for example, prestige cooker, or even the cars, you talk about Maruti Suzuki, like, comes up with so many innovations, so many new cars, so many new models, that every time Maruti stays with the target consumers. So there's a constant effort uh, to try to keep in touch with the consumers without losing their without losing their base, and trying to add as many as new consumers possible. So that's how the reminder advertising functions, right? Right. You have the ads, definitely, that is speaking, that is giving you information, that is also trying to be persuasive, that is also trying to do the function of reminder, reminding the people. So there is always an effort to do all these functions either separately or bring all these functions in one advertisement. See, it's not like strictly compartmentalizing that, okay, you have a persuasive advertising, so doesn't mean that there is no reminder element in that. No. All these advertisings can be independent, can overlap as well. And that's the reason why we need to understand that whenever we talk about all these things, so there is by default an overlap. So when you're talking about the classification by target group, you have consumer advertising, industrial, trade, and professional advertising. As we go by the name, consumer advertising is mostly meant by consumers, meant for consumers. All are consumers for someone or the other. But when you're talking about consumer advertising, it's mostly to the products that are used on a day-to-day basis. That's what consumer advertising is, on an everyday basis, generally on an everyday basis. Okay. So that's what consumer advertising is. But again, consumer advertising is region specific, area specific, and locality specific. Then comes the industrial advertising, industrial product. It is mostly B2B. So when you're talking about B2B advertising, it could be about some company um, giving an advertisement, giving promotion for the manufacturer, for the dealers, or for the wholesalers, or for the retailers. So that is what is industrial product or the business to business advertising. Then you have trade advertising. Again, there is an overlap between the industrial product advertising and trade advertising as well. So professional advertising, we're talking about professional advertising, it is meant mostly for professional. Like, for example, you are in a specific profession for the doctors. So you have a sonogram or a ultrasound machine or ECG machine. So these are professionals, and the requirements of the professionals are not the same as the consumer. Like, you don't need to give details when you're talking about something like a Lux soap. You don't have to give details when you're talking about Lux soap, or when you don't have to give details when you're talking about something like surf, like detailing in the sense to the minute. But if you're talking about something like a professional advertising, something connected to some instrument, may be it in the field of engineering or be it in the field of whatever engineering field, it may be automobile, mechanical, or it could be space, or it could be whichever profession. If, for example, if there is an ophthalmologist, right, the ophthalmologist requirement of for the eye would be different. So the machines are different. So based on the profession that we are talking about, accordingly we can the professionals are given such kind of advertisement. Then financial advertising, as the name indicates, is something like HDFC or ICICI or SBI or something like Citibank. So you have many international HSBC. You have so many international banks also that are there in our country now. So all these international banks have advertisements telling them about loans or the shares or their company, what facility, the funds that they can provide to companies, or be it house loans or even EMIs that are being provided to the consumers on a daily basis. So all these are different categories of advertising. So advertisements, these are all different types of advertisements, obviously, that we're familiar with. And again, when an advertisement is made, we need to take into cognizance the kind of media that we are using. Whether it is a print media, the requirements of print media, say, are different. So when you're talking about the requirements of print media, it is like there has to be a picture to a great extent, because as we all know, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So to an extent, so the picture should be able to convey the message, and then apart from that, there has to be a tagline, a slogan. So all these things can be used for the print. We know the characteristics of how the print media goes. So if it is a color ad, so, a color ad will have a different dimension. And if it is a magazine-based ad, so the way the magazine based ad for example, whether to go for a glossy advertisement or whether you go for or a normal paper. So again, all these things differ for the print. So when you're talking about so obviously you have newspapers and magazines in print. When it comes to radio is all sound. Okay, if you earlier, like radio played a very important role. Now the radio is able to get back to its glory to some extent, thanks to the FM radio. So you do have AM radio, which is being listened by farmers, by um, health workers. Like you do have a niche target group which still continues to listen to the radio. But when we are talking about advertisement to radio, it is audio, bites, the music, the sound. It is what that makes the radio attractive. So to make an advertisement for radio is is a very creative concept, and a lot gets into the making of an advertisement for radio. So if it comes to television, television is again as good as film. So, but now with television having with so much diversity that is coming up with television screens, with led, lcd, and new more technologies that keep coming up. So the advertisement that are being made for television, again, it is as good as making a very 15-second short film kinds. So you have actors, you have music, you have a lot of dynamics. There is a content, there is a story, and it to be presented in a way that it will not get lost into the clutter. So the television usage has increased. I think the penetration of television is almost 99.9% in India now as well. So with that kind of a reach, obviously television advertising and the spots, to get spot in television advertising is also a very big task, and it is an expensive task. Now coming to film advertising, obviously there is film advertising, the advertisement that are shown before the screening of the film. Okay, so, like in our childhood, it was mostly Vico Vajradandi that we used to remember. And we used to have that advertisement, Marlboro cigarette. Okay, and VIP was one of the mostly featured advertisement before the screening of the films. So, like film advertising, as I've said, now television advertising is no less than film advertising, and they used to also screen for about 30 seconds to 1 minute earlier. But now the frequency of film advertising has come down drastically, because people now are more interested in watching the film directly. But still, uh, uh, there is a lot of local advertising that is happening before the screening of the film. So, yeah, but again, film advertising is a very expensive process. Apart from that, you do have outdoor advertising. And then now, when we are talking about hoardings, hoardings are also have become interactive. You have the QR scans, which are put up on the hoardings with the advertisement. So if you want to know more about the product, with the new mobile technologies, you have the QR scan within your mobile, so you can scan the QR scan and pair it with the mobile, and now you are able to read about the product. It's like seamless. So that way, earlier a hoarding ad, which was so boring, like once you have seen it, it is done, right? It used to be a blind spot. So earlier, that an advertisement that was a blind spot has now become some kind of an interactive advertisement, thanks to the new technologies. So as we see, advertising also is making use of the new technologies, trying to make uh, all possible means to see to that it reaches the target consumers, because that's what the advertisement is aiming for. That's what the sponsor wants. So with the QR code, you are able to read. So no more outdoor media. No more a hoarding is a dull and a boring ad. It is as interactive as the, as yeah, to some extent, digital platform. Okay. So now coming to the digital advertising, the most happening advertising that we have, you have different social media platforms, like you have Facebook, Twitter, Insta, you name, you have so many what uh, um, uh, so many apps, like you've had a matrimony app, you have you name a service, you name a segment that doesn't have. You have a porter app, you have food service apps, you have every service, every product has an app. Okay, so now all these apps are used on the net, and there is, it has become very interactive, and that's the future of the advertising that we are talking about. Okay, so apart from all these things, you do have the classified and display. Classified apps, if you look at DC paper is known for classified apps. You have, because obviously it's a local paper. Even I think now Times of India is competing. Times of India Hyderabad edition is competing with the DC in terms of getting as many classifieds as possible. So you have rentals, resale, educational institutes, tourisms, okay, whatever. So there are a lot of things that you can talk about when you're talking about. So you can also take a for example, now the most happening thing is in the newspapers, they are putting advertisements saying that they are going to let out farms for for rent. Okay, they're going to like you have an agricultural land where you can have your own, because now being Hyderabad being so very it has become so very brick and mortar. You find that like there is a possibility that you can't have space for any greenery. So people who are interested can have the land for a short period, and they can grow the land, use the land for farming, or for growing any kind of agricultural products or flowers or whatever, anything that they want to do with the land. So these, all these kinds of things, they find a space in the classifieds. So so you find that there are all these kinds of advertising exist. But apart from that, the other important thing, the different type of advertising that we are talking about is garment advertising, or the garment advertising. So garment advertising can be public service advertising. uh, okay, I'll help you with the difference. So mostly garment advertisements are given by the Directorate of Audiovisual Publicity, DAVP. That is the wing which looks into the garment advertisements. Like you have the polio campaign, Pulse Polio, which has been a huge success, is done through garment advertising. They roped in Amitabh Bachchan as the face, and garment advertising. And even at the time of COVID, right, a lot of money has been spent to educate people towards vaccination. So even that, for that, there is a lot of garment advertising that has been done. So mostly to promote health in the, just not in the field of medicine, but also you find that advertisements connected to art, advertisements connected to communal balance, like something to bring about to preach violence, sorry, to preach non-violence. Something to speak about the sovereignty of the country. So you find that to bring in the unity among the people. So you have different kinds of advertisements that are put up um, uh, to um, uh, to educate masses for good, like wearing helmets, something as simple as that. So wearing helmets is uh, though government comes up with fines, many things, people, obviously you have a lot of issues wearing helmets. People don't wear helmets. So how scary it is, like if you don't wear helmets, you can lose your life. There are hoardings or government advertisements on television as well. So to teach, to educate, to bring in some kind of a positive change in the society, mostly government advertisements work in that direction. Or something like smoking cigarette, drunken driving. You find so many cases of drunken driving and people losing their lives. Wearing a seat belt, how lives have been saved wearing a seat belt. So all these are part of government advertising. Okay, and what are they aiming for? They are aiming for public service. But again, there is one more aspect in this. So when you're talking about public service advertising, what is public service advertising? Any advertisement that aims for the good of the uh, uh, like aims for the good of the society. So it's something that causes some kind of thought that makes people to think. So when you have an advertisement, for example, the most famous ad at one particular point of time was a Tata ad, right? Where people were, some politician comes and scares people, say that you can't vote and all that stuff. So a girl drinks tea, gets Tata tea, that's the tea. So gets rejuvenated, gets energetic, and says that vote is my right. So I'm going to vote. So and then the girl goes about to go and vote. Following her, all the rest of the crowd goes and vote. So what is happening over there? It is technically not a public service advertising, quote unquote, but it is an advertisement given by a corporate entity aimed for the public good. Okay, can you see the connect? So it is aiming for public service, but given by a corporate entity. Though there is an overlap, it is aiming for the good. So you have a lot of Titan. Titan is also one of the companies which goes in for such kind of innovative and very different mode of advertising. There was this one particular Tata ad, Titan, where see, in our societies it is pretty much acceptable for a married man with children to get married. Okay, if the wife doesn't exist, a widower with children getting married is something that is taken out with, that is accepted by the society. But a lady whose husband passed away or who is a divorcee with children getting married is something that is difficult for a patriarchal society like ours. Okay, maybe in the Western societies, it is not much of a discussion, but definitely in most of the South Asian societies, it is something that is not acceptable. Titan came up with this ad where they showed a lady and a man going about with that Sat Fairy, Saptapadi. And then at the end of the ad, there's a small girl who comes running, hugging the mother, showing that the man married a lady who is already having a child. So something some and obviously when you're talking about wedding, there is jewelry which is Tanishq. Titan is the watch coming from Tata company. It is the Tanishq. Tanishq jewelry. She wore Tanishq jewelry. Not that it makes a difference whether wearing Tanishq jewelry doesn't give you confidence. Wearing Tanishq jewelry is not giving you that extra super power, person powers. But the way the advertisement has been made, okay, it comes up with some kind of a message that man and women and men are equal in the society, and you cannot have separate rules for women and men. So that is
public service advertisement, which is talking about gender equality. So you have these kinds of advertisements that keep coming up, but at the same time, we find that uh, uh, it is coming from a corporate entity, right? So these are things that needs to be understood, and uh, yeah, and so a lot of apart from the government, even the corporates are also into public service advertising. So the the thing is the political advertisement. The political advertisement are the advertisements that are given by the political parties. Continuously they give advertisements, say more so in front of in before elections, obviously, and we have some election or the other election going about. It again is nation specific, region specific, area specific, and locality specific. So lot of advertisement go about with different kinds of uh, specificities. So you have the political advertisements that are done that are done, which obviously promote the leaders at that level. So you have different types of advertisements that are done at different levels. Um, which obviously can be very competitive. So, if in our country, if someone like BJP gives, Congress gives, you have AAP that is also into advertising. So much money is being spent on political advertising. Okay, so but what is the purpose? The purpose is obviously to reach the target consumers in a very effective way. And how it is done, what the strategies involved, you have certain models which we would be discussing in the next class. So we will be talking about IDA, Dagmar, hierarchy of needs. So these are the models that we'll be speaking, we'll be talking about in the next class. So today's class covered about different types of advertising and how these different types of advertising enable um, enable the target consumers, enable the sponsors, because even consumers needs advertisements to be aware of what are the products that are existing. So to reach to the target consumers and the sponsors, advertisements help to bridge that communication gap. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.